90% of personal trainers quit the industry inside the first 12 months, and I don't want that to be you. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the top challenges that new trainers face and what you can do about them. The first challenge that most trainers face, probably the top reason that they don't stay in the industry, is they just have trouble getting clients. And it makes sense, you go through, you get certified, you learn all these things about the human body, but you learn very little about how to bring people in the door and how to keep them once you get there. So this is definitely the biggest challenge that most people have, and it's probably the number one reason, right? No matter what, you're gonna have a challenge getting clients, and so what do we do about it? Probably the number one reason that most people should become an employee first, meaning go find a job somewhere where they can funnel and feed you clients. Now, I won't pretend like you're not gonna still have to put in a lot of work, interacting with people, connecting, building rapport, doing things on the floor to get people, but if they've got thousands of members, it's probably a pretty captive audience. And so unless you have some massive audience already that you can pull from, this is the best place to start. Because although if you went the contractor route, right, training for yourself, creating your own business, you might be able to make more per session, but you gotta actually get clients, and that's where most people struggle. So without a doubt, I would say the majority of people need to start at a place where you're gonna get fed, you can get better at it, get repetitions, get experience. Absolutely the best place to start. So beyond becoming an employee first, the next thing you can do, and you need to do, whether you're gonna work somewhere or you're gonna work for someone else, is right now, if you're just getting started or when you get started, your time is not that valuable because you're just not that busy. And so you gotta be willing to just give away time. All right, now truthfully, even if you're watching this video and you're not training yet, you're not even certified yet, giving away time, practicing on people as you're getting certified, all of this is huge because you're just getting free experience, an opportunity to get better. Now, once you're actually looking to get clients, it's an opportunity to get to know people. And when you're inside the gym environment or you're bringing people in, it's a chance to prove your worth, prove your value. And so don't be afraid to be giving away a ton of free time. You know, not only walking up to people and building rapport on the gym floor, but putting it out there on social media. Hey, I'm looking for a couple of people to come in. I'd love to go through and practice assessments on you. Or, you know, if you're looking to get started on your fitness program, I'd love to have you come through and just let me show you a few things. And sometimes people are afraid to do this, like, are they gonna value it if I give away my time? But you gotta get them in front of you. And that's your opportunity. It's your opportunity to get better at the thing, and it's also your opportunity to potentially sell new clients in to training with you. So without a doubt, find ways to give away your time, because every trainer who's ever succeeded in this industry will tell you they did a lot of it. And then there'll be a point in time where you don't have to give it away and you'll get busy, but you're not there yet if you're watching this video. And the third piece of this, on top of going somewhere where you can get some experience, then just getting more experience, giving away free time, is once you get people in, once they've signed up to work with you, you've got to go big, right? Meaning you've got to deliver as much value as possible. They might be paying $50 an hour to work with you to whatever gym that you might be at. You got to be delivering $200 a session value. So you're not only super prepared for your training sessions, but you're checking in with them on a regular basis. You're trying to help them with their nutrition and their habit change, all the things, because you want them, these first clients, to be your walking billboards. Not only for them to help go get you more referrals, but for them to stay around and actually retain people. So no matter what you do, these clients in the beginning, you gotta go big, you gotta get them everything you got. Challenge number two, which really ties into challenge number one of not maybe having enough clients yet, is the inconsistent money, the inconsistent income. Even once you start to get clients, without a doubt, if you guys are getting into fitness and training or you're thinking about it, it is a service-based business, and you generally get paid when you train. And even your best clients are gonna go on vacations, they're gonna get sick. There is an element of instability that you have to know about before you get into this. So there's no way around that. Obviously over time we can do things to stabilize your income, but in the beginning I think the best thing you can do is come in with the right expectations and plan for it. And so the first thing I like to think about is as you're getting into training, now whatever stage of life you're in right now, whether you're in your teens and your 20s and you're watching this video, or like many of you I know are on your 30s and 40s and even 50s, maybe it's a second career. You gotta think about it as an opportunity to get paid experience. You know, I mentioned in the first challenge, the reason to go work for somewhere else. Well, when you do that, not only are you gonna get clients, you're probably not gonna get paid that much per session. It's just part of it. But what you are getting is you're getting experience. And that experience, if you wanna do this long term, is gonna be far more valuable than the money that you're making in that moment. So you just have to know that in your first 6 to 12 months, that's probably the most important thing, is just getting good at training. And so you might not make a ton of money, you probably won't, but you're getting some paid experience to get better so that you can make more money down the road. The second piece of this, and this is one that we end up working with our students and graduates with, is just having a financial plan. You got to know in the beginning, no matter where you go in, you're not going to make full-time income, especially if you're coming from another career. You're making 40, 50, 60 grand a year. You can make that money in training, but we've done other videos on this. It's going to take you a little while to get there. You're not going to do it overnight. And so you've got to have somewhat of a financial plan. Now that might mean for some of you getting to a place where you have enough saved up that you can make the transition and you know, cool, I've got some additional income that I've already saved so that as I'm building up my training, I can offset that. Now, for many of you, what it really might mean is you got to slowly start building up training while you're still doing the other thing. It can be very hard for people to make a full transition from another career path because of the buildup in trying to get enough training income. So I put on here, even for me, I was back certified in college, but even when I was doing it then, I had 3 jobs at any given time, right? I was building up my clientele, trying to figure out the training component. Even whenever I worked here in South Florida full-time, I was working full-time for the university. I was training clients in the morning from like 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8:30. Then I'd go to work and then I'd get off work and I'd go home or I'd come back to the gym in this exact gym and train more clients. And so it was a lot of work in the beginning, but it's what it took. And so it might take that. And if you really want to do it, I promise it's worth it, but you just got to go in with that plan and know, hey, let me find something. I still have some consistency in my income here while I'm starting to build in this training thing until you get to a place where you can make that jump altogether, like I did. And then the last thing I would say here, this could be kind of what I call like a Fit Pro hack as you're getting into training. Even if you really only want to one-on-one train, there can be big value from getting into teaching a couple of group classes. You know, if you're at a larger big box gym, no doubt they probably have some group fitness classes, some group training classes. Maybe you're training at a private studio or you can get a group class job teaching at an F45 or an Orange Theory. This is great inside your schedule because at least the nice thing about group instruction is you have a consistent hour on a consistent day that you know you're getting paid for, right? So the other thing is there's still a little bit of a crossover of skills. You get a little bit better with a group, which then makes one-on-one pretty easy. And if we want to go back to our first challenge of getting more clients, you're also in front of a lot of people. So I'm a big fan of starting to dip your toes a little bit into group classes. If you're watching this video and you're already getting a little bit anxious about some of the challenges that come with getting into the fitness industry, you're not alone. And it's why we offer free advisor calls. And we're on phone calls every single week with aspiring trainers just like you who want to turn their passion for helping people into an actual viable career path. So if you want help in that process or you want to problem solve some of the things we talk about inside this video, check out the link in the description below. Now, if you do good at the first 2 things, getting clients and figuring out the income, the next challenge that sometimes comes for trainers is actually burnout. And if you talk to some trainers, especially those who made it past year 1 into year 2, 3, 4, 5, it's not an uncommon thing to hear about really burning the candle at both ends. And all of a sudden you find yourself not having time for your own workouts and you're training so many clients and you're not eating. It's not uncommon, right? It's not uncommon. As you get busy helping others with their fitness journey, you got to find ways to be a little bit more regimented, right? You might be watching this video and right now you're able to work out like 2 or 3 hours a day. Well, if you want to make it in training, that's going to have to stop at some point in time. So one of the things, with my little smiley face here, I say get there first. Some people are super worried about this and they don't have any clients yet. And I'm like, well, don't worry about getting burnt out. You're not doing anything yet. You know, get busy first because you might have to find your own breaking point. Truthfully, for me, I don't know that I've ever gotten there. I think maybe I have a higher tolerance than most people. Working with others day to day, throughout the day, 6, 7 clients in a row, it's more energy giving to me than it is energy draining, but you might be different, right? So either way, get there first. Let's focus on the first 2. Let's get you busy. But in the process, as you do start to get busy, as you do start to have more clients stacked in a row, it's probably a good opportunity for you to start to be a little bit more strategic with your schedule. Now, without a doubt, a split schedule is very common in training. We are generally working when other people aren't. So morning clients, you might have clients from like 6 or 7 a.m. to like 10 a.m. and then oftentimes it might be a little bit quieter until like 3 or 4 p.m. So pretty common to have work in the morning, break in the day, work in the evening. And not everyone loves that, but you can make good use of that time during the day. Once you do start to get busier, I say build a realistic schedule, right? Meaning, you know, I generally really enjoy working out, you know, between the hours of like 11 and 12, maybe 11 and 1. Well, once you start to get a little bit busier, block that out. Block it out just like you would a training session for someone else so you don't schedule through that. I definitely know that about 5 or 6 years in for my own training career, I really had to start doing that. Or otherwise I was just not working out and I didn't feel great and I was unhappy. So you gotta start to schedule it in and block it out. And I promise you, clients will work around it. You'll be able to find clients that can work around that. So build a realistic schedule for yourself. And the other thing I'll say in this, just energy management. There's gonna be some days where you're super busy and you might not be able to avoid it. You might have 6 or 7 clients in a row, but I have definitely found that I feel the best when I train about 3 or 4 clients in a row and then even like a 15 to 30 minute gap just for me to grab food, relax for a second, maybe check in on some messages with clients. It just gives me a slight mental break. So over time, I started to also build that into my schedule. If I was going to train, 6, 7, 8 clients in a day, I would build in a small gap so that I made sure I was still eating, I was still taking care of myself, all the things that people just don't really do when they get to that point of burnout. The fourth challenge that trainers have when they're getting into the industry and trying to find success is it's very easy to find yourself spending time on the wrong things. And what I mean by this is that when you're first getting into training, especially if you're training clients in person, probably spending time there in the gym in person might not seem sexy, but it's probably the highest priority thing that you can and should do. But it might not be as much fun as doing other things like building out your logo and making business cards and building a website and all the things that we feel like we have to do. And I don't mean that those are the wrong things altogether, but they might be the wrong things right now. And so what you really want to do is first just get focused at being really good at training in person. Because if you do that for a considerable period of time, especially the first 12, 18, 24 months, other opportunities will open up for you, right? It's easy to get distracted by these shiny objects, like I mentioned, feeling like, man, you know what, if I'm gonna get clients, I need to have business cards, I need to have a website, because what if they look me up? As I'm shooting this video in 2024, I know way more busy, great trainers who don't have a website, right? They might barely have an Instagram, but they're really good at in-person training. So if you want to get busy with in-person clients, focus on those things first. Do things in your community. Be active in the gym. Offer up free intro and strategy sessions. Offer up free workshops, all these things that allow you to have more in-person interaction because it's much more likely to get you new clients. I'm not saying the other things might not be helpful down the road, right? Maybe you do want to build some online training into your business at some point in time. Well, I know very few successful and busy online trainers who weren't really good in person first. So I think it's the best place to spend your time, and just know that all those other opportunities will be there for you if you stick around long enough to make this thing happen. So don't get distracted by all the stuff out there. You might feel like, man, Joe, I feel like I need to be posting on social media every day, and I feel like I'm spending so much time doing that. I'm not saying it might not help, but it's probably not the most effective low-hanging fruit for you. Like, how am I gonna get my next 3 to 5 clients? That stuff can be helpful, but it takes time to build up your social media, especially if you're trying to get in-person clients. So it can all help, but stay focused on those things first and just continue to ask yourself when you're trying to prioritize these things, what is going to move the needle for me right now? What's gonna get me my next client? What's gonna add more money to my income immediately? And chances are it's gonna be getting another in-person client. And our fifth challenge that trainers face as they're trying to find success early on in their training career is that they probably don't have any consistent methods or processes. And this is honestly because very few people teach this. The certifications definitely don't teach this. They teach you a lot about theory behind, physiology and human anatomy, but there's not a lot of structured programming methods that go into it. And then even as you get started at a gym, you may not be taught really consistent methods of follow-up and checking in with clients. And without a doubt, if you want to make it beyond your first couple years and you aspire to get to higher levels of income down the road, this stuff may become more important than crazy, fancy, advanced techniques in training. All the things that we think about as new trainers, they might not matter as much as this stuff because it means you're going to be consistent. And most of your clients just want that. They want to know every week, I know when I show up at 6:15, the gym is going to be unlocked, Joe is going to be there, he's going to be prepared for me, right? If you can meet that, sounds simple, but a lot of people can't, you're going to be pretty well off. And so the first area of that, of trying to create some consistency in your methods, is definitely going to be in programming. In the beginning, when you start training clients, you're going to spend a lot of time coming up with workouts. And you probably can't skip that phase because you're trying to figure out, like how do I put things together? How do I pair exercises together? What squat goes with what pull exercise? And there's a lot of learning that's happening in that period. Once you've done it long enough though, you've done it 6 months, 12 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you get to those phases, you start to see the patterns. Right? And you've got individuality in your clients, but overarching, right, there's some pretty consistent, repetition and patterns that show up and people that have similar workout programs. And so you got to start to create some really basic systems. We've got a ton of great content, if you haven't seen it already, around programming systems. So if this is an area you want to learn, definitely after this video, check those things out. But you need to find some ways to save time, right? Because as you are training 4, 5, 6 clients in a row, you're not going to have 2 or 3 hours a day to like come up with more workouts. But you still want to be planning, you want to be prepared. And so having some very simple processes to follow is going to be huge. And it doesn't need to be complicated. It's probably better that it's not. Same thing when it comes to follow-up. A lot of trainers might be good at getting new people in the door, new potential clients in, but then once they're there, if they don't say yes on that day, there might not be any follow-up, right? And this is huge. This is unfortunate across all industries, but with clients, they need someone to help them take action. And so we're letting them down if we're not consistently following up with people. Having a super simple Excel sheet or a Google sheet or something where you can track the follow-ups that you have with people and plan the next one so that every week when you're sitting down trying to figure out ways to build your business, you've got this list to go back to of people that you've already met with and that you can follow up with and trying to get back into the gym. So follow-up is huge, and most people don't really have any consistent methods for it. And then the last piece, even the clients that you have, day to day, you're probably pretty good at communicating and checking in, but you're going to want to have some consistent processes here as well to know every week you're going through, who did I check in with this week? What do they need from me? Who's going to be out of town in the next couple of weeks? All this stuff that's just going to help you figure out how do I better run my business. I started this video by talking about the statistics of failure and dropout inside the fitness industry, and this is commonly discussed. 90% of trainers who just don't make it inside their first 12 months. Many of them who didn't probably have the same positive intentions that you do. You want to help people, right? You love being in the gym. It's changed your life like it has mine. And although there are elements of some of these challenges you're not going to be able to avoid altogether, you're going to have to work through them. If you go into that knowing it with a plan, you're going to be far better off than most people. So I hope this video is helpful to open your eyes on what you need to focus on because there are so many people out there that need you.